Alright, I gotta admit, I haven't been this bummed leaving an anime season in a long time, but Spring 23, probably my favorite anime season, especially one that I've covered on the channel. Just so many good shows, but luckily summer does have a lot of returning great shows and some intriguing new ones. So I'm gonna go over some of the shows that I'm interested in as it stands. I've asked the community over on YouTube and on Patreon what people are excited for, and a lot of it seemingly is lining up to the stuff that I thought looked interesting, but as I always say, things I might like initially or think I will might turn out to be stuff I don't talk about on the channel. So this is just the initial impressions. Obviously you'll see what I end up covering as I make videos, so let's go over it. We're going to do a speed run of some of the bigger shows because I've already talked about in previous seasons, but just to obviously let you know, of course I'm watching them. Jujutsu Kaisen finally coming back with season 2. You know your boy's going to be talking about it. Misfit, a Demon King Academy, is apparently returning. Hopefully it can actually finish up, fingers crossed. Mushoku Tensei, of course, one of the goats. We're gonna be here. Let's not kid ourselves. Bleach Stars and Blood Year, of course. We're excited for that. Love me my Bleach. Devil's a Part-Timer season 2. I mean, people didn't really like it when it came back initially. I liked it. I'll be watching it. Probably won't be making videos on it. Now, Horimiya, The Missing Pieces. This is one of those shows where basically there's a bunch of unadapted chapters, but the studio said, hey, the show popped off, it made bank, we're gonna do bonus. Now, people are gonna be like, hey Brandon, are you gonna be covering it on the channel? Probably the first episode. Will I do it every week? Probably not, because apparently anytime these shows get bonus episodes, no one cares about the videos on YouTube, so probably will end up being a Patreon exclusive. If you don't want it to be that, make sure the videos do well, that's all I can say. Now, the girl I like, I forgot her glasses. Now, the premise and everything seems really intriguing, but let's just say, I'm not a fan of Gohans. I really don't like their production style, and the trailer gives me very mixed vibes. It feels like the idea of less is more is something that the cameraman in this show should probably understand. I am rooting for this one to succeed, but I am fearful that potentially I'm going to watch the first episode and say I would prefer reading the manga. But fingers crossed. This looks like a very cute story. The art style is really nice. It's just I don't like how Gohans goes about camera angles, but fingers crossed on this one. Reign of the Seven Spellblades. Now this is one that initially caught my eye, and I thought was going to be one of those shows that I talk about and no one seemed to know about or care about, but I'm seeing a lot of people say they love the source material, and apparently it's gonna get pretty crazy. Now, production-wise, the trailers look solid enough, so I don't think it's gonna be average looking by any means, but probably slightly above average. Maybe certain shots will look incredible. But either way, based on the buzz, because I've seen it on YouTube, I've seen it on my Patreon community, I'm seeing people say this is one of their most anticipated, and hell, I thought it looked good to begin with, but the more you read into it from who the source author is and everything, it just is lining up to be something that could be a sleeper hit, so keep your eyes peeled on this one. Am I actually the strongest? Now, initially I wasn't really too interested in this one because it just kind of looked like generic fantasy isekai show of the season. But when I watched the preview, that's kind of what sold me. There seems to be this element of comedy that doesn't really get across in like the promotional images for the posters and all that, but when you watch the preview and just some of the shots, like there's like this floating baby and like the comedy jokes, it seems like a blast. I'm rooting for this one. I hope it succeeds. Funny shows I'm always here for. So let's see what happens. So we have Liar Liar, which kind of feels like No Game No Life, but rather than Fantasy World, it's just all part of the country. Now, the poster and some of the PV material didn't look that great initially, but seemingly the newer stuff that they've been releasing does have me pretty interested in this one. It seems like it could be a show that would be really fun to talk about week after week, and if the popularity's there, I'd love to cover something like this on the channel because this does kind of feel like it fills a niche that we don't see a lot of, so hopefully it succeeds. Now, Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. Now, people are starting to pay a little more attention to this one, but I've been having my eyes peeled on this one for months. This seems like it is going to be a banger. Now, production value alone probably would get this show to pop off and be the true dark horse of the season. But if you dig into the narrative and you watch the PV, it actually seems like it has a ridiculous fun cast of characters, a fun take on almost the zombie style storytelling, and if the production can actually hold together as strong as it's currently looking throughout all the promotional material, I would be shocked if this isn't the dark horse of the season personally. My Tiny Senpai, some people were a little upset online because of short girl big boobs, but I mean, there's plenty of short girl big boobs IRL, and you know, people don't write them off as creepy. Honestly, looks like a pretty cute show. Is it going to be the best show of the season? I have no idea, but am I willing to give it a couple of episodes, see if it's fun? Yeah, it could be a very casual, fun watch, and honestly, Office Workplace series, you don't get a lot of them in a season, so it's always worth trying them out at the very least. We have Fate Strange Fake, which is a TV special. This was supposed to come out, I think, either last season or the season before it eventually got delayed. I've been excited for it because I'm a huge Fate fan, so of course I'm ready to watch it, and hopefully it doesn't get delayed any further, but, you know, as my boy Miyamoto would say from Nintendo, a delayed game is better than rushing out a game and not having it actually finished, so hey, you know what? If they gotta keep delaying this one, I'd rather wait for quality than to have 20 minutes of it air and then they have to say, oops, sorry, we have to delay it like something like Misfit of Demon King Academy, right? Now here's the goat of the season, Reborn as a vending machine. I now wander the dungeon. I remember people were memeing this like when it initially got announced because they're like, okay, isekai have gone too far. You can't tell me with a straight face that doesn't intrigue you because that sounds goofy as hell. And now that we finally have like promotional material, a better synopsis than the initial like title of the show, I'm actually excited for this. I love me isekai. I'm what you can call isekai trash at times, but this legit looks fun, man. I mean, at this point, give me reincarnated as a washing machine. I now wash my childhood friend's laundry. I don't care. Give me the weirdest shit, man, and I'm here for it. So last Boss Queen, I was a little interested in this one, but the whole villainess stories that have been coming out recently haven't necessarily been for me, but I'm keeping my eye on this one because I have heard some good things from people who watch my videos. And that gets me a little more intrigued because I can look at something like this and say, oh, it's another villainess turned, you know, we're not actually the villainess anymore. But it actually apparently does have some really good characters, some really good story points, and from what people are telling me, now granted, this is just, it's a biased view because it's only a handful of people that I'm going off of, but from what I'm being told is that it is better than a lot of the other ones that have come out recently and was one of their more anticipated. So hopefully that means we'll have a really good villainess story and we'll see where it goes. Spy Classroom's coming back with season 2. Now, I covered a couple of episodes of season 1 and it just wasn't really doing well on YouTube, so I finished it on Patreon and I ended up quite liking it. It's a very weird show. It feels disjointed. It feels almost like two different types of anime in one. But every week, even when I felt like I didn't understand the structure of the show, I did leave having fun, so I'm here for season 2. Dark Gathering is one that probably will get slept on, but goddamn, I hope it doesn't, because a ghost horror show, I mean, we don't get a lot of horror, and if you watch the PV for this one, it definitely has a more early 2000s vibe to it, which has me excited because it feels like it's a type of show that's going to be sticking out from the crowd, doing something different, and hopefully it succeeds at what it's attempting, because this is one of the harder genres, I think, to properly tap in anime, but when it does hit it out of the park, it's something that is remembered for well past the season that it aired. Now, Helck was one I didn't really have too much interest in initially, but then I had a bunch of people mention how, like, we gotta watch this one, and I was like, okay, well, if you say so. So this one's gonna be a 2-core, and I'm hoping it does well because there's been some recent really like popular manga series that finally got an anime, and the anime adaptation was absolute ass. Production wise, this one looks good. I don't know a whole lot. I'm trying to go in as blind as possible. All I know is that if there was any show on Live Chart that I was like, I would be surprised if people like beg me to watch, it was this one, so I'm hoping it's good. Apparently it is. We'll see. Undead Murder Farce. Now, this one looks pretty crazy. I mean, you have apparently just this severed head, and like, that just feels like the most unlikely duo, and a kind of mystery vampire show. That is also kind of very similar to the previous show I mentioned here, Dark Gathering it is. Dark Gathering and Undead Murder Farce seems like it could be filling a void that you don't see a lot of, and it's kind of weird we're having both of these shows in the same season because if both excel, it's gonna hit it out of the park and be a very unique season for this year of anime. Now, Level 1 Demon Lord and the One Room Hero, I feel like no one's gonna watch, but please do yourself a favor and watch the preview. This one seems goofy as hell and could be the type of slapstick comedy that's going to leave me rolling week after week. So after his embarrassing defeat at the hands of the brave hero, the Demon Lord is back and ready for revenge, but after 10 years apart, the hero Max isn't a dashing do-gooder. The Demon Lord remembers. He's basically a slob, and honestly, the trailer really sells that premise, and probably no one's going to watch it, no one's going to talk about it, but if it's as funny as I think it's going to be, it could be the comedy gem of the season. You also have the Gene of AI, which honestly, this Madhouse one kind of gives me Plastic Memories vibes just based on the trailer and everything and what they're trying to go with the narrative. And this could be a show that really hits it out of the park or just is the most boring mess of a show. But this does have a very similar vibe as when I was going over the chart for something like Plastic Memories years back. I hope this one does well. Fingers crossed, that's kind of like half of the shows on this list. Fingers crossed, could be really great, but damn could they mess this one up massively. But those are just some of my feelings of what's coming out. A lot of great returns and a lot of shows that have a lot of promise. If even half of the shows that I think have promise succeed, this will be a great anime season. So fingers crossed, let me know what you're excited for, what you'd hope to see maybe I cover on the channel, and we'll go from there. So leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos. And I do have a Patreon where you get to see videos just like these early. I give video shoutouts and all that other fun jazz if you're interested. So consider supporting if you so wish. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.